Good morning, Wildcats. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday already. I hope you had an amazing 3-day weekend. As you know, our daily schedule is different now. Our periods are much shorter, so I'm going to dive right in today. If you ever are not able to finish watching or to finish the day's lessons, and sometimes this will happen during our social studies and language arts time, then that's what that time after lunch is for. Okay, that's your independent work time. So if you ever don't get finished with a video, you can go into your independent work time and finish then. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This book that we are talking about today is called Wish Tree. It's by Catherine Applegate. So that's the same author as the one and only Ivan, which I know a lot of you have read, and the one and only Bob, as well as Crenshaw. So, this is about a tree. The tree is the main character and the narrator, who is known as the Wish Tree. And people from all over every year come and tie their wishes on red. And it's just kind of a tradition in this town. So it's about the tree and all the little animals that live in the tree, about what the tree sees going on in the neighborhood. The tree is facing, the owner of the tree is thinking about cutting it down. So it's just this really beautiful story. It's just also a story of acceptance and love and different people coming together and things like that. So it's a very, very good book. I really liked it. Highly recommend it. We have several copies in the classroom. If you are interested, email me. Okay, so that's Wish Tree by Catherine Applegate. That is today's book talk. For language arts today, Monday is no school. Here we are for Tuesday. Again, as always, make sure you did the attendance. You make sure you did the attendance question in Otis. Today we are going to start reading The Boy of the Painted Cave. And I'm going to read that to you in a minute. And I want you to follow along. So you're not just like sitting there listening, playing around with things, like having story time. You are following along. I know a few of you have not gotten your book yet. Some of you have not gotten over to Ike to pick one up, and some of you ordered one from Amazon, but it has not yet arrived. If that is the case, right here, it says Boy of the Painted Cave PDF. That's a computer version of it. So if you click on it, then you can follow along on your screen. I would much rather have you reading a book. It's better for your eyes. It's better for your brain, things like that. But if you don't have a book, this is a second option. Okay, so right here, Boy of the Painted Cave. You can click on that and read it there. So Boy of the Painted Cave, actually, I'll start that in a second. Sorry. Okay, when we're done reading, you are going to go into Otis, and you have an assessment called Chapter 1 through 4, Questions, Boy of the Painted Cave. You're just going to do the Chapter 1 questions today. Do not submit them, because we're going to be working on this all week. And then on Friday, after you finish period 4's question, then you will submit them. Okay? So again, here is Boy of the Painted Cave. I'm going to read the back to you to give you an idea of what it's all about. So it says, Tao is an outcast. Unlike the great hunters of his clan, Tao does not want to kill the wild bears or woolly mammoths of the hunt. Instead, he wants only to paint them. But only chosen ones can be cave painters. What's more, Volt, the clan leader, violently despises Tao. And when the other clan members discovers Tao's secret talent, they cast him out into the wilderness alone. There he befriends a wild wolf dog named Ram and the mysterious Graybeard, who teaches him the true secret of the hunt. Okay? So anyway, so that is the summary or the introduction of the book. It is a really good book. I read it many years ago, and I think it goes along great with what we're doing in social studies right now, so that's kind of awesome. Okay, so I'm going to put this screen up just for some nice cavey background while we're reading. And that turquoise link right there, that is the PDF again. So if you have not yet found that, you can look for it. Okay, so chapter 1, it starts a few pages in. It says 1 at the top. Please follow along. Tao looked out across the valley with its endless waves of yellow grass rippling under the late afternoon sun. He could see the small band of hunters walking ahead, turning over logs and stone, searching the ground for squirrels, moles, and grubs. Dirt matted their dark beards, burrs and stickers clung to their bearskin robes. They had been out for 3 days, but the hunting was not good. Now they were returning home, tired and almost empty-handed. The boy watched as the hunters disappeared over the brow of the hill. All day, Tao had waited for this moment. With a rabbit in his hand and a leather pouch filled with moles and field mice dangling from his belt, he quickly hobbled over to the foot of a high embankment where a smooth expanse of white sand had been washed down by the melting snows. He looked around once again, took a deep breath, and placed the rabbit on the ground. Then, with the point of his spear, he began tracing the shape of the rabbit in the sand. He worked hurriedly, starting with the head, running the spear around the ears and along the back and stubby tail. When he came to the legs, his hand slipped, causing the spear to gouge a hole in the sand. He broke off a nearby willow branch and brushed away the drawing, then started over again. This time he worked carefully, guiding the spear along the natural curves of the animal's body. When he was finished, he stepped back, studying it for a moment. He shook his head. No, it did not look like a rabbit. It was too stiff, not real. He felt a flush of anger and he shoved the rabbit aside. He looked over his shoulder again to be sure he was alone. Then he knelt down on the sand. With the fingers of his right hand, he began to draw a picture of a bear. This he was sure he could do. Working from memory, he drew the huge head with its open mouth, showing the row of sharp teeth, the small round ears, and short snout. As he worked, a warm feeling welled up inside of him. He forgot the hunters and the rabbit. He thought only of the big brown bears he had seen digging for roots in the marsh grass or scooping salmon out of the icy creeks down in the valley. He remembered their strong shoulders and shaggy brown coats, and for a moment the image became a living beast flowing from his mind, through his hand, directly onto the sand. He finished his drawing by sketching in the high-arched back and sturdy legs. Then he stood up, brushing the sand from his knees. He looked down at the drawing, smiling broadly. It was good, he thought, the best he had ever done. Yet with time and practice, he knew he could do better. He did not remember when he first began making pictures. It must have been many summers ago when he lived with Kala. At first, she was frightened of this. It was taboo, and she tried to stop him. Then she let him go. But he could draw only on the dirt floor within the skin hut, where he would not be seen. Suddenly, his thoughts were interrupted by a soft rustling sound. With a shuffling of his deerskin boots, he stamped out the picture and dropped quietly into a patch of tall grass. He waited, his heart pounding. He knew he could be severely punished, even banished, if he were caught making images. Except for a chosen few, it was a strong taboo and against the secret rites of the clan. Yet he longed to be an image maker, to be a cave painter like old Graybeard. He knew it was a foolish hope, for he was born of no shaman. He was the son of no chief or leader. He was only Tao, the boy with the bad foot. He did not even know his own father. His mother died long before he could remember, and there was no elder to help him. Because of this, and because of his bad foot, he knew he could never become a chosen one. Whenever he saw the bison out on the plains, or the giant aurochs and cave lions, he wanted to paint their pictures on the wall of the secret cavern, a magic place far back in the big cave where only the chosen ones could go. Often at night, he lay in front of Kala's hut, listening to the crackling fire and looking up at the sky. He saw pictures of deer and horses amongst the stars. By day, the billowing clouds became herds of antelope, or the lumbering shapes of the mountains that walk, the mammoths. Always during the hunts, he lagged behind the other hunters to watch the giant vultures tracing lazy circles beneath the clouds, or to catch a glimpse of a woolly rhino outlined against the horizon. Sometimes seeing these things made him lightheaded, almost bursting with joy, and he wanted others to see them as he did. He knew that Garth and the other hunters did not understand this. Even Volt, the leader, looked upon him as an idler and a dreamer, unworthy of respect or manhood. He liked Garth best of all because sometimes the big, black-bearded man tried to help him. But when the other hunters came by, Garth often turned away and had other things to do. Once again, Tao heard the soft rustling sound in the grass. He waited, afraid to move. Then slowly he crept toward the sound, searching through the grass until he found a trail of pug marks going around in circles. He gripped his spear tighter and fingered the leather pouch hanging from his belt. He was sure the scent of the dead mice had attracted a hungry animal, and he had an uneasy feeling that he was being watched. He waited silently, listening. Off in the distance, he heard the harsh, scolding caw of a raven. That was all. He started walking again along the foot of the cliffs, heading back for camp. He had only gone a few paces when the rustling noises came again. This time he turned quickly, ready to defend himself. Then he saw it, peering at him through the shadows, a young wolf, its slitted eyes low and threatening. Tao hunched down and raised his spear. If it was only one wolf, it would be an easy target. He started to throw. Then he noticed the animal swaying back and forth on unsteady legs. Weak and half-starved, its ribs showed through the scraggly patches of gray hair. Its yellow eyes looked up at Tao with a vacant stare. It was only half-grown, and Tao was sure it must have been deserted by the pack. Slowly the boy lowered his spear. He could not bring himself to kill this helpless animal. Besides, such a scrawny beast would be a poor prize to take back to the clan. Tao put out his hand, speaking softly to the frightened animal. "Come," he said. "I mean you no harm. You are hungry and I have food." He held up one of the dead field mice. But the young wolf backed away. A faint snarl curled on its lips, saliva dripping from its mouth. Tao slit the mouse open with his with his flint knife, and dangled it in front of the wolf. Again, the animal cringed and shied away, its thin legs trembling. "Here," said Tao, "eat. You are hungry. Do not be afraid." With careful aim, he tossed the mouse on the ground in front of the wolf. The little animal came closer, slowly, one step at a time, its yellow eyes watching the boy intently. It nuzzled the dead mouse, pushing it around, licking at the oozing fluids. Yet it still refused to eat. Tao shook his head, puzzled. It was growing dark now, and he had to get back to the clan with the rest of the clan people with the rest of the field mice. He felt badly about leaving the little wolf, but he could not take him with him. He left the gutted mouse lying near the wolf's muzzle. As he started to back away, the little animal looked up at him with pleading eyes. Tao shook his head sadly, but there was little more he could do. He made his way between the huge boulders